This is the Clear Money Talk podcast, offering up creative solutions for your retirement future through education, choice, transparency, and empathy. Now, your host, CEO and founder of Clear Financial Partners, Tim Clairmont.
Hello. Welcome, everybody, to Clear Money Talk. I am your host, Tim Clairmont, CEO and founder of Clear Financial Partners, and happy to answer the question today that I know is on many of your minds. Working with a financial advisor, what's in it for me? And by the way, what's in it for me? That me is you, not me. So what's in it for me as a financial advisor is not what we're talking about. We're talking about what's in it for you as a client when you choose to work with a financial advisor, whether it's us or any financial advisor. We're going to go through that today. With me, as always, is my illustrious, wondrous co-host who seems to have gotten a haircut recently, or his hair just looks really good today. I don't know which one it is, but Tyler Andrews. Tyler.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Illustrious. I like that one. That put a grin right on my face. I got many hairs cut this weekend, actually. I'm feeling good again. You know, the hairs start to creep over the ears, and it's too far past due on the haircut. So glad I checked that box this weekend. Feeling good, hitting the week off on a good note.
Yeah, well done. Yeah. I think we all feel better when we feel like have that kind of fresh new haircut feeling.
Oh, yeah.
And and I guess there's some similarities too in terms of our topic. You know, when you work with a financial advisor, it's kind of like getting a fresh overhaul of your overall financial situation. And as I was reflecting and talking to some other financial advisors just earlier today, I was just telling Tyler, we had about 6 or 7 different topics we were going to consider for this morning's class, and or I should say class, this morning's podcast. As you guys are learning, I hope you're learning. But yeah, I was like, let's just do this one because I was talking to some other financial advisors today, and I realized a lot of clients, when they're working with a financial advisor or even considering working with a financial advisor, they don't necessarily know what they're going to get out of that relationship. They're thinking, okay, well, maybe somebody's going to manage my money. Maybe I'm going to get a better rate of return. One of the biggest misconceptions I think a lot of people come into when they work with financial advisors, this person is going to make sure that I make a killing as far as rate of return, and they cost me a lot of money, but they're going to make me more than they cost me, and then they're going to make sure I never lose, right? I mean, that's probably in a lot of people's minds as the belief of what they get out of working with a financial advisor. And then that's not accurate. And we have to reset those expectations every time I have a conversation with clients. There's nobody out there that can, I believe, give you a guaranteed high rate of return. If you choose to accept an account that has no risk of loss, you're typically getting a lower rate of return in that kind of an account. And there isn't necessarily a magic bullet or magic wand out there for fixing these things. And yet TV and movies give these impressions of what financial advisors are. And I find there's a big disconnect between what a real financial advisor is and what they're portrayed as in the movies. So to educate you about what clients get out of working with a financial advisor, I thought I'd at least go through the 5 principles of financial planning that we share, that we work with all of our clients on, and explain really what is it that clients get when they think about those 5 principles of financial planning. As a quick recap on those 5 principles, the first one's rate of return. A lot of clients are focused on how do I get a good rate of return. Clearly, that's sort of the given that a lot of people are thinking about. Second is retirement income planning, making sure that you have adequate income for retirement and so on. Third is estate planning. They want to make sure that their estate plan looks good. Fourth is tax planning, making sure their taxes look okay. And fifth is protection planning, which is really all kinds of different insurance, whether it's health insurance, auto and home insurance, life, long-term care, and disability insurance. All those kinds of insurance fit in those categories. So those are sort of categories that financial advisors think in, and the CFP Board of Standards thinks in those terms, but that's usually not the same terms clients think in. So I was trying to simplify it and just make it clean. So when you're a client and you're thinking about rate of return, and you're watching all those crazy movies like Wolf of Wall Street and all this other stuff, and thinking that somehow somebody's got the magic bullet that's gonna take you to the next level, get you a better rate of return, and all of those feelings that surround it, I'd say the biggest benefit working with a good financial advisor gives you is if you really, really understand it, you should not have any FOMO about rate of return when you work with a financial advisor. So it's a no FOMO zone.
Let's clarify what FOMO is for the people that are having FOMO about not knowing what FOMO is.
Oh wow, that's a double FOMO experience.
That's like
double
a black
FOMO.
hole. It just keeps on going.
It's like that mirror thing in the movies where you see yourself in the mirror, and then in the mirror there's yourself again, and then there's yourself again, forever and ever and ever. It's like an infinite FOMO experience.
Yeah.
So Tyler, why don't you tell everybody what is FOMO?
FOMO is fear of missing out. It's just a nice acronym that Tim and I like to throw around, and occasionally, if we're at a nice dinner and the other person's not there or we're doing something else, we'll send a FOMO picture to say, this is what you're missing out on.
You're just rubbing it in, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's what Tyler did to me on Saturday. We were not hanging out together on Saturday, and he sent me a picture of one of my favorite Indian food places, Swagat, which is great. And he said FOMO ? And I was like, oh yeah, absolutely FOMO. Of course, I ate it Sunday night for dinner because I just had too much FOMO on Saturday.
I teed it up for you.
Thank you for that. So how does this apply to rate of return? Let's bring it back to that for the listeners. So when it comes to rate of return, fear of missing out is really what it is that is inspiring you to be disappointed in your rate of return experience. And when you work with a financial advisor, what you can really understand is they've discussed with you your risk tolerance. And if they've done a good job balancing your portfolio so that you have reasonable asset diversification, then you should be, according to modern portfolio theory and all that other good stuff, if you look at the graphs of it and everything, you should be getting a pretty close to an optimal rate of return for the amount of risk you're taking. That means if any of your friends brag about how they're getting a better rate of return, you don't have to have FOMO, because it's almost certain that they took a higher degree of risk than you wanted to take. So if they got a better rate of return than you, they probably took a much greater risk than you're taking in your portfolio if you're working with a good financial advisor and doing a good job. On the other hand, if your portfolio goes down and you feel FOMO about people who didn't lose money, they got out of the market or they were in an account that didn't go down, savings accounts, cash, and everything else, and you're feeling FOMO, like, oh man, these people, well, their long-term rate of return is not likely to be as high. It's usually proportionate. Your rate of return is related to the amount of risk you're willing to take, and if you're in a good proportionate portfolio for your time frame, your goals, your risk tolerance, you should really not feel any FOMO when you're working with a good financial advisor, because anybody that's getting a better rate of return than you is probably taking much greater risk. And if they're avoiding losses, they're not taking as much risk as you, so they're expecting a lower long-term rate of return, and that's more consistent with their objectives in their portfolio. When you really, really, really get that, and you really work with a good financial advisor in managing your investment rate of return, you should no longer have FOMO about what other people earn or don't lose when they're investing in their portfolios. It's not a competition about which advisor has the crystal ball to predict the future. That's what the movies try to show us. That's not reality. Good advisors about mapping your portfolio to your risk level for your goals and your time frame. And that's really how rate of return plays out. But we got other stuff. We got 4 of these principles of financial planning. So let's talk about so number 1, what do you get? No FOMO, right? Rate of return. When you work with a financial advisor, no FOMO, you're getting a decent rate of return for your level of risk, and that's what you get when you work with a financial advisor. Number 2, what do you get when it comes to retirement income planning, working with a really good financial advisor? In simple terms, what do you get as a client when you're working with an advisor from a standpoint of retirement income planning? Of course, you're going to try to get a higher income level. You're going to want to make sure you're keeping taxes as optimized as possible, so you're paying as little in taxes as you can. Make sure you have adequate money coming in for retirement. So all of those things are real. They're all a part of retirement income, but we like simplicity here. So let's keep it simple. If you work with a financial advisor, at least that has the same kind of philosophical ideals that we have about retirement income planning, you're not going to run out. We use accounts to make sure that you're never going to run out of income in retirement, and you at least have that option. If you choose to run the risk of running out of money on certain accounts, you're going to do it aware of what that risk looks like, but we build plans to make sure you're never going to run out of income based on the kinds of accounts that we build for you. So you're never going to run out, and we also design our plans to be worst case scenario plans, which means they only get better. Wherever you're at today, when you look at your income plan that we build for you and you take a look at it, you're never going to run out of money, and it only gets prettier over time. So that's the way we design everything. So when you work with a financial advisor, I would say, and they build a good income plan for you, that income plan should be designed as a worst case scenario, so you know it should only get better, and it should be designed so that you could never run out of money. And that's really what you get when you work with a financial advisor on retirement income planning. So any kind of questions or thoughts or comments on that, Tyler?
No, I'm glad that you mentioned our income plan that we often share with our clients and prospective clients, and it's become a very vital tool that we use. It's ingrained in everything we do on a day-to-day basis, and it's become so powerful. I remember back when we weren't using it, which seems like forever ago, because we've been using it for a long time, and it only keeps getting better and better, and it's just something I don't think that we could do without at this point. And I feel bad for people who don't have that, that are working with somebody that isn't providing them an income plan that's very easy to understand, easy to look at, fun to look at, because this stuff shouldn't be scary. You should be partnering with someone that makes it at least enjoyable to talk about, not a scary thing in the closet that you're trying to hide from, and just easy to understand at the end of the day. So that's what we try to do for all of our clients, Tim. The income plan is a very powerful tool that we use in that income planning, retirement planning conversation, and I'm happy that you brought that up. Yeah.
Cool. I appreciate you sharing the insights on that. Every year I start the year in January and I go and I put my AirPods in, my noise canceling headphones. I'll typically sit at a coffee shop, usually Starbucks. And by the way, Starbucks, we would love to have you sponsor us.
No, we're waiting for any sponsor
We're waiting for a
to
call,
step up.
really. Yeah, that'd be great. No, I go sit at Starbucks and I'll put my noise canceling headphones in and I'll take my yellow pad with my pen and I'll ask myself, what more can I do for my clients this year? Because it's an at-will relationship, and we want to, after 26 years, we want clients to keep choosing us every single year, to stay with us and work with us and encourage their friends and family members to work with us as well. And the Clear Income Plan was really one of the insights I got from doing that about 8 or 9 years ago, just sitting there and thinking about, what clients really want is a simple way to see where their paycheck's going to come from over the next, 12 years. And what is the worst case scenario? What does that look like? That people turn on Social Security at different times. It's not necessarily at the same time. A lot of couples are not necessarily the same age. They don't have the same birthday.
Very true.
Things are going to turn on at different times. Pension plans, you're going to use them at different times. Traditional IRAs invested in certain kinds of accounts might be turned on at one time and yet turned on at another time, depending on the other kinds of accounts, the tax implications. Roth IRAs, Roth accounts, all of that stuff, you got to flip a switch to turn it on at different times, turn it off at different times, and that can be very complicated. So having a very simple one sheet of paper, front and back, essentially 2-page income plan that shows what they're going to get for the next 12 months, what they're going to get for the next 12 years in a worst case scenario is just hugely reassuring. It answered the question clients wanted to know, which is, hey, where's my money going to come from and how much can I count on? So, they've already learned to make sure that they spend less than their paycheck. That's the key lesson they have to learn in retirement. If they've already, most of our clients have already learned that before they meet us. We just have to give them the biggest paycheck we can give them and make sure they never run out of money. And that's where that comes from. So,
yeah.
As far as, I think we can move on from retirement income planning, though. We got 3 other topics here to touch base on. So why don't we do that? So the third topic is estate planning. And I think the answer to estate planning as well as tax planning is actually the same. See, we don't give legal advice here at Clear Financial Partners. We also don't give tax advice here at Clear Financial Partners. We're not accountants. We're not attorneys. But what do you get when it comes to estate planning and tax planning? You get the insight of a personal CFO as it relates to your taxes, the insight of a personal CFO as it relates to your legal. See, when you sit down with your attorney and you have a conversation, that attorney has a legal awareness. They understand what's going on from a legal standpoint, a planning standpoint. They know what's going on from a standpoint of, everything that's about law and your estate plan and your will and your trust and all of that. And you know everything that's going on about your life. But you actually have a personal chief financial officer sitting in your corner to have conversations with you and your attorney to make sure that all of the money-related stuff is also built into your estate plan. And similarly, when it comes to taxes, a lot of accountants, they're focusing on filing your tax return, making sure that they do it effectively. They're not necessarily focusing on making sure that you're generating the tax consequences that make sense for you by taking money out of your retirement accounts. Those switches that you flip on those retirement income plans will generate tax consequences. And you've got to think about those before you flip the switch. That's where having a personal CFO that's sitting right there in your corner, it's like that little angel on your shoulder that's going to be in there in that accountant appointment with your accountant. And you can just turn to us and say, hey, what do you think about this, Mr. Financial Advisor? Because we're looking at the whole picture. So that's what you get when you work with a financial advisor when it comes to estate planning and tax planning, bullets 3 and 4. For the 5 principles of financial planning. You get the insights of a personal CFO. And that's huge, which is, it's pretty great. Any follow-up comments, thoughts on that, Tyler?
I mean, a lot of follow-up comments. I try to limit what I'm going to say because, time's of the essence all the time, and I don't want to waste the listeners' time. But one thing that I was thinking is not all financial advisors do all this either. And I don't want us to paint a picture like anyone you go seek out for as, to team with, to pair with as your financial advisor is going to be able to do all this for you. I mean, I can't tell you the number of times that we have new clients that come to us to start working with us, or I talk to friends or family, whoever it is, and they're like, my financial advisor doesn't do that, Tyler. They're only talking about invest in this and this, and they don't talk about the insurance stuff, or they don't try to work with my CPA or my attorney to make sure everything's integrated, together. And financial advisors that do all that, we call that holistic financial planning, Tim. And I often take it for granted that thinking that everyone that's a financial advisor out there is doing all these things. And in retrospect, it's unfortunately not always the case, because there are financial advisors that aren't doing all these things. And, that might mean some of their clients have a hole in their plan that isn't being attended to, right? I mean, you probably have seen this lots over the course of your career, right?
Yeah, no, you're right. In fact, I'm interested in that conversation I just had this morning with the other financial advisors. There's some advisors that try to do everything, and that's what they just said this morning. It's like, they ask you, well, what do you do as a financial advisor? It's like when a client asks them, they're everything. Like, and that's their answer. It's
One-stop shop.
Okay, I get it. I get everything, but what does everything consist of? And other financial, so a lot of financial advisors are going to give that answer, and yet their definition of everything is not the same as everybody else's definition of everything. So figuring out what your advisor does and doesn't do is also very, very important. The thing I like about the 5 principles of financial planning, these 5 tenets, if you will, is they're put out by the CFP Board of Standards. So most certified financial planners that have that CFP have indicated that this is something they intend to do or intend to offer. Now, how much they charge for it, how they offer it, that's going to vary depending on the financial advisor and who you're working with. But understanding, what do you get out of working with a financial advisor? That's the whole point of this question for this particular podcast. So as you think about what's in it for you, phrasing it for yourselves, what's in it for me, let's give you those answers. That's what this is about. Yeah. So what's in it for you? Well, no FOMO when it comes to rate of return, never run out of money, worst case scenario planning when it comes to retirement income planning, so it only gets better. A personal CFO to give you CFO insights when it comes to your tax and legal planning. And then finally, with protection planning, the 5th and final principle, that's all your insurance stuff. So to make it simple, like, we don't offer auto and home insurance here. We work together with other professionals that do it, or work with your existing professionals. We don't offer health insurance here. We work with other professionals that do that as well. They do a good job. We do offer life insurance, long-term care insurance, and long-term disability insurance through Clear Financial Partners, so we will handle that personally as experts. But when it comes to that number 5 principle, protection planning, here's the bottom line takeaway. You have 0 uninsured surprises. So the point with those 3 words, no uninsured surprises, you have no uninsured surprises. What does that mean? That means that when you work with a good financial advisor, they've looked at your insurance situation, you understand what you have covered and what you've chosen to self-insure. So if you've said, you know what, I'm going to pay out of pocket for that, I'm going to run the risk. Well, it's not a surprise if you have an uninsured loss. You chose to self-insure. You saw that coming. But when you have a surprise that pops up and unfortunately you didn't have insurance to protect you for that surprise, that can be catastrophic. That can destroy your entire portfolio and change your life. So you can have no uninsured surprises when you work with a good financial advisor, because you're either going to make sure that advisor is going to make sure you have adequate insurance for everything, or you've at least made a conscious choice to self-insure on any of those risks and run those risks yourself. Therefore, they can't really be surprises if you've chosen to self-insure. And if you've chosen to insure, then the insurance company is going to pick up the tab when any of those bad things happen. And that's what we want to make sure happens. If bad things happen, and they're really big bad things that are very expensive, we want to make sure that the insurance company is writing the check, not you personally. And that's really what insurance is there for at a fundamental level. Of course, there's a whole lot more depth behind all 5 of these than what we're sharing with you on this podcast. I know that's probably where Tyler's brain's going as he's spinning up on all these different thoughts. And maybe your brain's spinning up on that too, but I'm trying to keep it simple today. So as we go through and just kind of keep it simple, for those that are listening to Just the Answer, and you're just going to get just the answer today, when you ask the question of, when working with a financial advisor, what's in it for me? What's in it for you as a listener? The quick answer is, well, there's 5 principles of financial planning, and you get a benefit for each one of them. The first one, no FOMO. That's rate of return. Never have to feel fear of missing out, because anybody that makes a higher rate of return likely took a greater risk than you wanted to take, Anybody that didn't lose money when you went down in value likely was taking less risk, and they're likely expecting a lower rate of return in the long run than what you've chosen. A good plan with a financial advisor is going to put you in the right position for the right amount of risk for you, the goals that you have, the time frame that you have, in an optimal, diversified portfolio that makes sense for you and your situation. Retirement income planning. So number one, no FOMO. Number two, retirement income planning, for the just the answer as well. Here, never run out of money, and it only gets better. Those are the two takeaways that you want to walk away with. So if you have a good plan in place, you should never have to worry about outliving your money. That should be an option that you've either chosen to insure or self-insure, but consciously made that decision. Most of our plans have designs in place where clients will never run out of money based on the claims paying ability of the insurance companies that are guaranteeing those things. And simultaneously, we build a plan that is worst case scenario designed, so it only gets better as you work together over the years. You only see that plan look better. We want to know what we can count on at 100% certainty and have that get better. 3 and 4, estate planning and tax planning. When you work together with your attorney or your accountant to do a good job on your estate planning, to do a good job on your tax planning, you have a personal CFO to give you insights as you go into those meetings. You have somebody with the knowledge and wisdom and intelligence and experience about money to sit with you and have those conversations to make sure that you don't make any money-related mistakes that may not be in the expertise wheelhouse of that advisor, that attorney, or that accountant. So, they always tell you the same thing we tell you. We say we don't give you legal advice and don't give you tax advice. The attorney, they're going to tell you they don't give you tax advice and they don't give you financial planning advice. The accountant, they're going to tell you they don't give you legal advice and they don't give you financial planning advice. But together, the three of us, we can cover all our bases. So if you don't have this base covered, you don't have a personal CFO sitting on your shoulder for those other meetings. You need somebody with our wisdom and our insights to help you with that, to make sure we integrate the money part into those conversations. Finally, number 5, protection planning. All of your insurance policies, no uninsured surprises. If you choose to self-insure, it's not a surprise. You saw it coming. If you had an accident, you thought you were covered for it, we're going to make sure that you actually have that coverage in place so that the insurance company is the one that's writing the check for you. And that's just the answer.
It's perfect. I like it. I'm thinking about all that stuff. There's a lot of stuff that goes into what we do. Having a good holistic plan, there's a lot of time, energy, knowledge, expertise that goes into this stuff. And I know that there's a lot of people also out there that are just like, I'm going to figure this stuff out myself. I'm not going to go see a financial advisor. And some people enjoy it. They're the DIYers. They're going to enjoy doing that stuff, and more power to them if they can do it. But if you're somebody that wants to own your minutes in retirement, or even in your working years, and not have to worry about that stuff, team up with someone you trust and that you feel good about, and work with them and figure out in working with them what capacity you're going to work with them on. Are you delegating everything to them? Or are you going to be a collaborator working with them on some stuff? They'll tackle the other stuff. Or are you going to be a DIYer and you're just going to do it all yourself and hopefully make the right decisions? But oftentimes those DIYers make money mistakes, and we try to avoid those money mistakes, Tim, right? I mean, that, something smart about money is your whole life passion at this point. Making sure that people don't make those pitfalls.
It's our moonshot, our BHAG, our big, hairy, audacious goal is to teach 1 billion people on the planet something smart about money so that they don't make those mistakes. Thanks for bringing that up, Tyler. That's definitely our passion. If you learned something smart about money today, please go to somethingsmartaboutmoney.com if you haven't already and just say, yes, I learned something smart about money. Add to our counter. That is my life purpose. I want to see that number go up. We look at it every single day. We have it on the TV screen in our lobby. We are looking at that number. We want to drive that number up. We want to see that number hit 1 billion people that we've taught something smart about money to on this planet. And frankly, right now, we're very early stages. We just launched it. Help us get to triple digits. We're just in double digits at this point. Help us get to triple digits and move that needle. We're teaching you something smart about money right now. If you haven't gone there, please just go to somethingsmartaboutmoney.com and say, yeah, you taught me something new, something smart about money today.
Yeah, absolutely. We would love that. And if they want to reach us, 503-579-1000, they can give us a call, talk about money, talk about most things.
That's right.
I was going to say anything.
Just call and have a conversation. No, we actually,
Most
in the beginning, we always have a get acquainted call, 15-minute conversation. We'll schedule that for anybody that's interested in working with us. We'll have a 15-minute chat one-on-one and see if there's something that we can do to help you in your financial planning situation and help you take it to the next level. And if it seems like there's a good opportunity to potentially work together beyond that 15-minute call, we'll explain next steps to you at that time as well. So look forward to hopefully hearing from you soon. Call us and book us for a Get Acquainted call. If you've never spoken with us before, I think you'll really find it worth your while. I'll make sure you don't waste those 15 minutes. That's key. Let's bring our outro back to the fun outro stuff.
Okay.
Tyler, you got something for me today?
I got something for you. We're deviating a little bit from trivia.
Okay, all right.
I'm running into the same trivia questions when I research this stuff. So we're going with riddles today.
Oh my goodness.
I got
okay.
2 riddles.
All right. 2 riddles. Okay. What do you got?
Well,
what do you got?
If the first one goes terribly, we'll just stop with one. But
Okay. Yeah. We might. We'll see.
We'll see. You ready for it?
Sure.
What starts with a T, ends with a T, and has T in it?
What starts with a T, ends with a T, and has T in it.
I'm just laughing here.
It's fun. So, I mean, it's, I would think something like teacup, but that ends in a P, starts with a T. So that's not going to have T in it. Yeah. Something that has T in it. It's not going to be a tea bag or tea leaves, or it's got to end in a T. Starts with a T. Has T in it. I'm puzzling. If you've heard this riddle before and you're sitting there just like racking your brain, or if you've already know it, you're like, Tim, you're an idiot. That's fine. You can go ahead and say, Tim, you're an idiot. I am not offended by that. I do not know everything in the world. I just know a lot of stuff about money.
That's true.
So starts with a T, ends with a T.
You're on the right track.
T in it. Right. I'm feeling like it's.
You are on the right track.
It's got to be something like that. It's not a teapot.
Teapot.
Yeah, teapot.
I had a feeling you would come around.
That was painful.
That was.
Okay, all right.
Do you want to do the second, or are we moving on?
That's fine. Let's see what the second one is. You said 2, so the listeners are wanting to know the second riddle. So what do you got for us?
What's always found on the ground but never gets dirty?
What's always found on the ground but never gets dirty? Dirt? I would think dirt is always on the ground. It can't get dirtier because it's already dirt.
That's true, yeah. Is that your final answer?
I don't know. I mean, it feels true, but I feel like it's too simple. I feel like there's a better answer. It's always found on the ground but never gets dirty. My shadow. Let's go with my shadow.
It's my shadow.
Nice. There we go. Boom.
We're fist bumping right now. I'm
two
proud
for
of it.
two. That's right.
Cool.
Yeah, you can't see the fist bump on the radio, but yeah, that just happened. So nice. So
Very good work, man.
That was fun. Oh, thank you for that. That was entertaining. Appreciate you changing it all up.
Yep.
Well, for those of you who listened, I hope you had a great time this week. Looking forward to sharing more smart things about money with you in the future. Thank you for listening to Clear Money Talk. And if you have never reached out and had a Get Acquainted call with me, please do. 503-579-1000. Look forward to getting to know you a little bit. Have a great day. Thanks, everyone.
Investment advisory services are offered through Clear FP Advisors, LLC, or Registered Investment Advisor. Securities are offered through Clear FP Securities, LLC, member of FINRA IPC. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or a recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments may fluctuate and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Timothy Clairmont is licensed in your state, please contact his office. Clear FP Advisors, Clear FP Securities, and Clear FP Life LLC are not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide tax and/or legal advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Clear FP, LLC NPN number 194283777 and or Clear FP Securities NPN number 197499604. Any discussion of general investing strategies or specific securities are for conversational purposes only and should not be taken as a guaranteed endorsement or recommendation.